Showtime, we're live, which is a good thing to be. Now, I am at this very moment sans aidsy, although I did text him earlier today and he said he was going to join us, so we shall see how that goes. And in the meantime, hi, Fox of Fate, how you doing? So, because I'm streaming live to both Facebook and YouTube. Comment from way earlier, hours before I went live from Luann, who was saying she hates the Melbourne Cup. And it is animal abuse, basically. And hey, PBR. Oh, yes. That's a good one, PBR. The drunk, overdressed bogans invading Flemington Road. I'm not working in the city at the moment, but the spring racing carnival generally is often a funny time. Drunk, overdressed people in the middle of the day, sort of staggering around the city, is quite amusing, honestly. But yeah. Hi, Chantel. How are you? The English media, in particular, will be full of photos and/or video of embarrassing drunken people at the Melbourne Cup. Hey, Big Pat, how you going, buddy? So yeah, it's not a particularly good look the way the drunken, overdressed jobbos get, and the British media in particular seem to revel in, oh my God, look at these gauche colonials, how awful are they? Hi, Miss Foxification, good to see you. So yes, I thought it was a pretty obvious choice to name the live stream for tonight. But I'm not necessarily going to spend a lot of time talking about it, probably as much as people want to. But yeah, it was pretty funny that the ABC timed their doco showing just the extreme abuse of horses, the extreme cruelty that surrounds the horse racing industry. And time that for just a couple of weeks before the Melbourne Cup to really shove in people's faces. This is nasty shit. This entire industry is fucked. And the apologists are hilarious. Like, hey, if you don't give a shit, just own it. Just own it. If you don't care that horses just horrifically, cruelly mistreated to keep the racing industry going, just own it. But don't say dumb shit about how much you love horses, because Jesus, they are treated so. And it's not just, sorry, like you look at the racing where the horses are whipped viciously. That's nothing compared to what they go through in their stabling and what happens if an owner decides they're not worth it as a racer anymore. PBR, you like my Star Wars shirt? Yeah, it's very retro, isn't it? It's not as old as this retro design would have you think. But yes, I actually got it in a lucky dip. Like some of those online T-shirt shops, if you remember, they often do these lucky dip things, like for really cheap. You can get shirts. Obviously, they've had too many in stock or something, but you don't know what you're going to get. And they're always like, pop culture images. And this is from the last one I got. And there's always something good. Usually, at least the designs are good. But if I normally get two or three. And if I do this, and there's usually the designs are all usually good, but there's usually at least one or two if I get a couple that are like exactly what I want. And Star Wars, man, yeah, Chantel, I used to get T Fury quite regularly. Then they got a reputation for, well, not fulfilling orders or taking literally months to fulfill orders. So you had like people giving up on them, and they had dozens and dozens and dozens of complaints against them. Like the American Better Business Bureau rated T Fury very, very bad because of not delivering on orders or taking 6 months or more to deliver on orders and never giving any feedback to customers. I don't know if they're going to be. Over the last 10 years, I got dozens of shirts from T Fury, but I haven't for a couple of years now. This was from a different site, and I'm momentarily blanking on the name of what it was. It's like Yeti or something. Uh, and it's interesting because, well, they delivered, which is a thing that people were saying that T Fury wasn't doing. T Fury wasn't delivering. And so that's not good. And I like the designs, but the t-shirts seemed to be honestly not the same quality as T Fury ones. They're much thinner. The T Fury ones seem much thicker, better fabric. Big Pat, oh, you changed from Facebook to YouTube to watch, Pat. Doing good, buddy. So Fox Juice Media and their honest government ads. Oh yeah, doing the Melbourne Cup one. I sort of see they exist, and I'm like, good on. I don't watch them that often. Those honest government ads, but they seem popular. Maybe I should watch them. I did say that I did see they'd done a Melbourne Cup one. Gecko, I'm glad I'm on tonight as well. I'm glad you're on tonight. If we're really lucky, Aidsy will be on tonight. We can but wait and see. He said he would be, and then radio silence. I don't know. We shall see if the lad actually shows up. It's not super late by his standards. Sometimes something untimely happens. This is the thing when you're incapacitated to the degree that AIDSy is, minor things can set you back quite a bit. He doesn't have, doesn't have a lot of runway to spare. So if something goes wrong, it's got to really go wrong. Gecko, here last couple of days in hospital because of kidney stones. I have never had the kidney stones. I am super glad because they seem absolutely horrific, and I hope things improve for you soon because they seem terrible. Fox, I can't watch it on stream because I'll get pinged for copyright, and then I'll lose my streaming privileges. I'm really not taking the risk of streaming anything that isn't mine because it's just not worth it. You get pinged. God, there's enough trouble with getting pinged for stuff that isn't breach of copyright. So I'm going to be very careful. Gecko, you actually had surgery today. Are you in hospital or was this a day surgery? Like they went slicey and sent you home? Because I know they do that with some surgeries, but of course they also let you have internet access in hospitals mostly these days. So I'm not sure which basket you fall into. But yeah, what actually did AIDSy cryptically give me a hint? Let me see. This absurdly long text he sent me. Said he'd be here. He's fucked. Something was fucked up. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. So anything could have happened to him in the intervening hours since that text exchange. Very hard to be sure with him. Oh, okay. You are still inside, Gecko. It was a full general anesthesia. Okay. Oh, there is that to misfoxification trolls doing false copyright claims. Yeah, that's usually you can get around um, because if they want to pursue it, they're actually committing a fairly serious offence. And also, they have to provide their real name and address. And YouTube, at least, will kick people off, like kill their accounts, if they're doing deliberately and gratuitously spurious copyright claims. And of course, if an anonymous account that someone set up just to make a copyright claim doesn't carry that much weight. So, yeah. Yeah, from what I hear, you'd rather break bones than have kidney stones. Really, really not. And of course, there's the two variations. Sometimes the stones are small enough to pass, as in get forced out the urethra, so they're like this, and that's apparently absolutely horrifically painful. And then the ones that are too big to pass, and you're in heaps and heaps and heaps of pain, and they have to do the old surgery to get them out. Again, kidney stones basically super fucked. Heist, how you doing? You accidentally dozed off. So you're here 10 minutes late. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. I'm just thinking, thinking of things. All right, I'm going to give 5 minutes and see if Aidsy shows up because I have to run off screen and do something. And if he doesn't come in, see, if he comes in, he can look after you while I run off screen for a second and do something. And if he doesn't come in, I'm going to do it anyway. I'll just leave you alone. Who got to leave you with? Look at my Borderlands mask here. Can I hang that up anywhere? No, I can't make it stay anywhere. Hang it over there. Yeah. No. Okay. And now I don't have the Borderlands game. People, and they say I have that because that was given away with a lot of copies of the Borderlands game. I don't have it. Young Mr. Angry went to one of those convention thingies. I don't know if it's PAX or something else. And he got that from a table. And he knew I liked Borderlands, so he gave it to me. Yeah. Ha! Oh no. His falsification. Kidney stones are like the Liberal Party. Painful to leave in, painful to push out, but it is worth getting rid of them. Oh my god. Gecko, you had a 6mm stone they didn't take out, put a stent between your bladder and kidney. Shite. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's a misfoxification. Got a quote from the media. Rostopovich, who ran last in the Melbourne Cup, will be confined to his box coming days after pulling a plane in the home straight with a stress fracture in his pelvis. That's Horsey Hospital for him, aka boom. He's off for yes, the equine culinary aficionados in Europe. Pretty sure bye-byes for that horsey. That was one of the weird things. The story that the ABC ran on how ugly the horse racing industry was, the amount of horses that are sent to slaughterhouses where they are processed for meat. In certain parts of Europe, horse meat is very popular. It's not legal everywhere, I don't think. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not legal in Australia. I could be wrong there. But there's lots of places in Europe where it's a delicacy, and particularly if it was a young-ish horse that just wasn't good as a racehorse and they slaughter it, the meat would be sought after, so they get some payback that way. And a lot of people were up in arms, oh no, eating the horses. And I was, fuck off with that. I don't want to eat horse meat. I do eat other meats. And I will admit, me not wanting to eat horse meat is completely psychological. I don't want to do it, but I know there's lots of people in the world who do. I thought it was bullshit that some people were getting so upset about. Oh no, they're killing the horses and using them for meat. Well, fuck. That's what happens to animals. I'm not going to eat horse meat, but other people are. So that's just the way it goes. BBO, was there a rumor back in the day horse meat was processed in the perfect? Maybe, I don't know. That there might be that as well. That would be absolutely plausible to me. A misfalsification reckons it's not. Oh, yes, the Gecko, that's right. There was always the reference to the glue factory. Horses going to the glue factory. And because there were a lot of products, including glue, that were gained from rendering down animals. So, like gelatin, for a start. Until recently, virtually all gelatin in the world was an animal product. Still mostly is, but it's not that difficult to get vegetarian, I suppose it's vegan gelatin these days. Yeah, they used to always render down animals for things like glue and gelatin and other things. So I don't know what and soap. That was another one. Soap. Uses for animals. Kind of like that bullshit PETA argument where they, have a picture of a dog or a cat next to, a pig and a cow. Why do you love one and eat the other? Because that's just the fucking way it is, okay? Not saying it's logical, not saying you can ascribe a lot of sense to it, but stop fucking pretending cows and pigs are the same as dogs and cats, because they fucking aren't. And I don't care if someone gets trotted out who's like they've got a pet cow or a pet pig. It's just not the fucking same. But dog meat and cat meat taste fucking horrible. I know. Well, there are parts of the world where dog meat is commonly eaten. I'm not eating it. Again, it's just psychological, but I have no qualms about admitting it's a great big double standard, and just because of cultural norms. Musical Aviator, hello. You're live streaming World Flight. Nice, raising money for the Royal Flying Doctors. That's some nice work right there. Ashoka, how many millions of tons of animal flesh is consumed each year? One. No, lots. I don't know. It's the very inefficient processing of protein. Elon Musk isn't landing on Mars, and no mission to Mars is anything to do with Elon Musk except putting his fucking money to it. Elon Musk is a piece of shit. He got lucky with a couple of business deals, and capitalism in its usual bizarre fucking way rewarded him far out of scale with any value he actually provided to society. And then he bought smart people. He bought talented people. Well and good. But this concept that Elon Musk is a super genius, Elon Musk invented the Tesla, Elon Musk invented SpaceX, is all massive fucking horseshit. He bought people who were smart enough to do those things. And he is a thoroughly objectionable human. And hey, Adele, that's okay, late, tidying up. AIDS's late, he told me a little while ago he's going to be here. And then radio silence. So goodness knows what's happened to him. And hello to you too, Suffer. Okay. I waited 5 minutes for AIDSy. might leave you all to your own devices for a few seconds. Sunbear, hey Sunbear, all animals get the same treatment when sent to the slaughterhouse. That's the thing. If you go vegan, you're not going to feel like a hypocrite. Oh my God, my mate Max. I can call him a mate. He's someone I have hung out many times with in real life, mainly interact with on the internet, though. He's a vegan bodybuilder. I don't think he's a professional bodybuilder, but he really works on his bod. He's fucking ripped, man. He's a really good poster child for veganism, making you look ripped. Yes, so it's like saying Branson created Virgin Galactic again. He just used his money to do it. Heist. Elon Musk not only called the guy a pedo because he rightly pointed out Elon Musk's suggestion for rescuing those kids trapped in a cave was fucking stupid. Elon Musk is going to court for defamation over that. Elon Musk is going to lose. Elon Musk is a fucking idiot who needs to be smacked out. Was that Phil? Racehorses are expensive to maintain, not many pay. Well, that's the thing. That I agree with you. Anyone who was paying attention didn't see anything new in this doco on the ABC, but a lot of people aren't paying attention. It's for hanging out for the Mandalorian. Is Disney Plus in Australia? I'm going to look that up. Disney Plus Australia. I don't even know if they're in Australia or if they're farming it out to one. Is there a Disney? Is Disney Plus coming to Australia? That's the question. Will Disney Plus come to Australia? Here we go. Disney Plus's arrival in Australia. What does this say? Jesus fuck, web pages that keep reloading. Disney Plus. Yeah, when? Australia, New Zealand, first countries in the world to receive the service on November 1. Jeez. So it's theoretically currently in Australia? Okay, I did not realise that. There you go. And then, mates, a guy called Max Horta, a friend I made through YouTube stuff. He's a local guy. He's he's a vegan and he often promotes the vegan lifestyle. And he's ripped AF. Shit. Do we want to perv on my mate Max? I'll try and find him. I'll bring up his Facebook page. If I can. No, that. Oh no, that's him. He's got Maximus Retro. Okay, I'll find an appropriate photo of Max looking super. God, he's got his shirt on in far too many photos. I have to find one. Oh, he's not shy about getting photos. Well, he's doing he's being a model in life drawing classes. Here's a couple. Here's a couple. All right. Although I don't know, they've done special effects a bit much on these photos. Hang on, I'm going to share them with you. Okay, thirst trap. Here we go. Aidsy's there. Aidsy, you're just in time.
Thank you.
Or were you busy?
No, I wasn't busy. I was actually a little bit hot under the collar because I heard that you had life drawing photos of Maximus.
Oh, yeah.
That you showed them or at least emailed them to me.
No, I am. I'm absolutely gonna share some thirst traps now. This is Max.
Ooh,
Bit
nice
too
work,
much.
Max.
Yeah, he's vegan and his
Oh no, that's not real.
Yeah, look at that.
That's real. That's probably real.
He's a vegan pinup boy.
I can
Oh, and
imagine.
he's got a shirt on in that one. That's no good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But he's not shy about taking his shirt off. Yeah, look,
Yeah, but
don't
I'm
want.
not shy about taking my shirt off either. People just ask me to put it back on though.
You want your bloody vegan poster boy? It's this lad.
Yeah, roids. Bloody roids is what it is. You know, I don't eat meat, but I juice. That's what's going on there. The hormones of animals is fine.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So
Or, you
just
know,
sharing that thirst
organically.
trap with everyone.
Hey,
Was just sharing that thirst trap with everyone.
you're sharing it with me. I
yeah,
was a bit parched. I was a bit bloody hot and bothered after that.
yeah. Oh, Gecko wants to know: have you ever had kidney stones?
Me?
Mm.
Yes.
Because he's in hospital getting surgery for kidney stones right now.
All right. I wish you the very best. I hope that you recover quickly. I'm sorry that it's hurt like fuck so far. May the urine in your blood pass quickly. No, may the blood in your urine pass quickly. That would have been much better if I didn't fuck it up the first time around.
Urine in your bloodstream, you'd also want that gone quickly.
Well, yeah. But you have that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's quite disturbing when you're really, really hurt in your back and you start pissing blood. Not cool.
Yeah, no. Okay, and that's just asking about Max. Why is he vegan? From my interaction with Max, it's the moral argument that it's very bad and cruel to eat animals, and he also obviously thinks it's much healthier. So yeah, there's that. Hey, okay. Once you're settled in, I'm gonna get you to hold the fort for a second because I have to run off and grab something.
All right.
But that's okay. Don't have to rush. You're clearly eating at the moment.
I'm going to be eating for most of most of the stream.
Oh, okay.
I'm demineralized
Oh,
from a very big day and night.
oh.
I'm late on the stream because I slept in. I had a power nap for an hour.
Okay.
Been up for 2 days. Had a chance encounter with my youngest brother, so stayed up all night talking to him. Yeah, I've been going out because I had a big day today. Been going out in a while, and yeah, I had a quick cat nap, and boss of the house just managed to shake me awake, and I jumped on.
Okay. Look, we're all talking what we're eating. Safa had chicken Kiev. I made fried chicken, like some chicken fillets, and sliced it up and marinated it, then coated it in panko breadcrumbs and shallow fried it. Had it
I
with some
don't want to
potatoes.
say. I don't want to say the obvious. Your people do that all the time.
Fried chicken. Yeah.
Yep. Eating watermelon there, mate.
PBR also had a quick power nap. There you go. Oh,
Thank you, PBR. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with a nana nap when you're
yeah,
15 like us.
yes. I had one on the weekend. I think it was on Saturday. It was just like, I'm literally not going to make it through the afternoon. I need to close the old eyes for a minute, and thus
It'll
I did.
happen more often as you slide into dementia, big guy.
Yeah, it does happen. But Annette, big congratulations to Annette. Submitted her 4th year thesis on Sunday night. That's
Nice
pretty good
work,
achievement.
Annette. Nice work. Is there any more chocolate there?
Man's after everything.
Oh, here we go.
There you go. I slept in as well, so that's
Thank
something.
you, Ice.
more you have in common with the peeps?
Well, I'm glad I have common with the peeps. So what were you talking about before I turned up? Or is you just saying hello?
I think it literally just got into talking about the thirst trap of my mate Max and his vegan body. So
Yeah. Now, I have heard thirst trap in a couple of different contexts.
yeah,
Having a look at those photos, I could probably imagine another context.
yeah.
Now, is there any other contexts that you're aware of that I should know about?
No, it's just colloquialism. I think you're really thirsty for someone, and you're
Well,
a bit
that's it,
eager.
right? Because everyone's thirsty for me.
Yeah,
And everyone comes with their mouth out going, for me, and I go, oh, it's sweet, you're drooling. Stop, please, come on. There's enough idea to go around.
yeah. So the thirst trap is when someone posts a picture, that makes them attractive and appealing, and people jump in to the comments like looking good, and they've been trapped. The thirst trap got them, and they've been trying to play it cool, but now they've been outed for how thirsty they are.
There is no playing it cool when it catches you, when it's gotcha. I know these things. I have wisdom. I also have the occasional blue ball. It's happened. It's happened.
Yeah.
So I don't actually attack people. But I'm very motivated to be not hustle. I'm motivated to be well, I should wake up. I'm not motivated to be attractive because I just am. Influential. No.
Yeah.
Romantic. I'm that already. Hey, baby. I like to speak like the, Brown. And
Yeah.
he got some candles on. Got some Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
When you absolutely have to waste every last motherfucker in the room, except no substitute, which is bloody romantic. If you've
It
got a
is.
person that you want to put parts of you into, right?
Yeah.
Get out the famous lines from Samuel L. It's a
Yeah.
clothes off, jump into bed kind of thing. Get my wallet out. Which one is it? It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
Yes.
And you
And then
find
it
out it
literally
actually,
says bad motherfucker. Yes. Hey,
Go on.
yeah, good conversation question.
I haven't broken any bones lately. Is it true that stones are worse? Yes.
On the pain scale of all the various things you've been through, like broken bones and kidney stones and whatnot, yeah, where would you place things?
Kidney stones are bloody painful. Getting shot's the most painful.
That's good to know. Getting shot is very painful.
Having your balls cut open, manipulated for 12 months is very painful.
Okay.
Yeah, kidney stones is pretty much up there with that, except it's a shorter period. Thank fuck. And because it's so immediately dangerous, they kind of take care of it straight away. If you can possibly get lithotripsy, it's so much better. Because what they do is they put this croton generator around you and zap you with big bolts of electricity very precisely at the same time, and they cross and destroy the stones, and they
Oh
turn
yeah,
into this powder, and you just wee them out, and this is like,
yeah.
this gritty fluid that comes out, and you go ah, and it's like ah, and everything's great. Otherwise, they cut you open and take them out, which is fine because you're asleep, and you make them go ow, 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 oh, ow, 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 oh, and then they give you good drugs, and then you're out of there, and you fart a lot and say thank you very much because I'm not going to cry myself to death. It's very painful.
Yeah, I have on one of those medical shows. I actually saw that thing of exploding the kidney stones, which it's like, ooh, okay, gosh.
We're in the future.
Hmm. Oh, and hi, David Hill, who's just joined us as well.
David Hill, from me to you.
I think Sarpa's caught on with the story about someone you're talking about getting shot, saying someone was shot in Canberra. I've not heard anything about that. So
I was shot in Canberra.
you were actually, weren't you? Shot
Actually,
by
no, I
Iraqis.
was actually shot in Iraq, but then I jumped
Oh,
the
yeah,
fence.
technically, legally, that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, my leg was in Iraq and got shot, and the rest of me was actually over the fence in Australia. So the bit of me that got shot was in Iraq. So hands up, credit where credit is due. Except the guy who did it never fessed up. All the guys were like for months trying to work out who was who. Because I met one of the guys years later. He was a taxi driver. He defected with he got his family out and then he defected after the first Gulf War, and because he just thought this is shit. Why would we fucking run after Q8? Q8 apparently was whip stalking the Iraqi oil fields, which gave the Iraqis the shits. But it's a fucking enormous oil field.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't matter if they're whip stalking you. The rest of it's in Iraq. Give a fuck, right? So it was just a bit of a dick pose by Saddam, who basically had to do something because the economy was on the verge of collapse, because the very expensive war they just had with Iran, which ended up in a stalemate, and the people were starting to get a little bit fractious, and so he just had to start another war to unify them, and Kuwait was a little target, so they could get a win. They could have a win. And they did, and it was great. And the Americans just rattling, and then they had the Scuds ready, and in the streets they were selling these tiny little rockets, with a looked like a paper clip stuck on the back, and you could stick a match in the back end of the rocket, and you put the paper clip on a piece of string, and you lit the match, and it fired the rocket along, because it was the representation of a Scud, that was going to keep them safe and kill all the Jews. Because every time your Middle Eastern Muslim country has a go at anything, part of the plan is kill all the Jews. You always think Israel's being a tad aggressive, but then you sort of look at their neighbours and their history of trying to fucking kill them all. And you'd be a little bit, a little bit trigger happy.
Yeah, I'm regularly disgusted by the behaviour of the Israeli government and freaked out by the behaviour of certain Israelis. Then you go, actually being surrounded by people who repeatedly talk about pushing you into the sea is going to do things to your head.
And when Iranians walk in parades with little flags with nuclear mushroom clouds on them, going, death to Israel, and then they go, no, we're not developing a bomb. Which is stupid because as soon as they do, I'm in the Veterans Hospital. I drove myself 30 minutes over here. I had to stop and throw up all over through halfway there. Well, fuck, Gecko. If you couldn't get a little paper bag, right, and not litter Australia with your vomiting due to extreme pain, and I don't know what kind of man you were, and the whole time you can't piss. Just,
Yeah.
you know, you see grown men come in tears, and
Yeah.
you know, and the nurses go, so what's up? Oh, you kidney stones, and you don't get the 6 hour wait. He's like, oh,
No.
big guy, come straight in. Have you had anything to eat? Not for a while. Surgery for you.
Yeah.
Which is the nicest thing you ever hear. Nicest thing is when you get put under, and the kidney stone pain goes away.
Yeah.
Because I had mine zapped, which is just fucking awesome. And then I
Yeah.
had a couple left over, and they went, yeah, we're going to cut them out. Okay.
Mm.
And they did. But they did a great job.
Gecko's saying he stopped to throw up because he didn't want to mess up his lift rental car. I mean, I threw up
No,
on pump.
I mean, I get it. I mean, fuck, get out of there. Get a breath of fresh air. Gark. Get another breath of fresh air. Gark.
Yeah.
If I'm going to gark, I take a little bottle of water with me. Gark. Swill, swill, swill. Spit. Gark. Swill, swill, swill. Spit. Gark. Drink,
Yeah.
drink. Gark again? No. Back in the car.
Yeah.
And hopefully your driver won't be eating garlic and fucking blue cheese.
Yeah.
Just the thing.
Oh, right. Okay. That for those who don't know is a not at all veiled bit of abuse at me.
Not abuse. It's just a reminder. It's a
way
long
back.
time ago. I
Yeah,
only
what?
feel queasy about it now.
It was before we hadn't been hanging out that long, and I didn't realise your sensitivity to smells, which is a long byproduct of the chemo that you got for rheumatoid arthritis. And we were on a road trip to Canberra, and I'd
Bathurst.
made.
We were road trip to
Was that we were just going to Bathurst? And I'd made myself some tasty road snacks that had this very had various cheeses and this very garlicky pesto in it. And being a lad, when I felt gassy, I just did a big old burp in the car, which was thoroughly noxious. And poor Azy thought he was going to die. And this was the middle of winter.
So, okay, let me just cut down two things here. First, your garlic, your garlic and your blue cheese. No, the smells do not agree with me. Second thing is, after the chemo, for some reason, when people burp, I retch.
Yeah.
You know, before it was just a bit, whatever. But after, like, oh my god, like when people fart, it's like, ew, gross, mother. Okay. But you know, I fart too, and mine smell like lavender. Why doesn't anyone else's? I don't know. When boss of the house farts, the walls shake, the fucking light globes melt. I've got to replace them all. You'll notice the light source is a bit flickery today. Boss of the house, did a bit of a fart. Hang on a second. Where my fingers are pointing different ways.
Don't know what you're doing there, but yeah. But I mean, it doesn't matter where you point. You should know where he is.
I know where he is, but I just don't want to point at you. Right? Farter. I don't want to say that, you know, because you're not.
I actually, no, okay, I'm making fun of you, but I went to point at you there. And in my world, I'm pointing at you, but in video world, I have to do that to point at you.
That's right. I have to do that to point at you. Which is interesting because I've got no pants on, and I'm trying to poke my penis at you so that, you know, I get. That's probably TMI. It's probably TMI. Do you know I saw a very popular YouTuber today?
Yeah.
Give it an hey incels, this is how to pick up chicks.
Yeah.
Not effective. Not
No,
effective.
not good at it.
No, because what this individual did, and I won't name him and his team, and he's quite popular in Australian, and very handsome too. Fuck him. What he did was he said, and you'll guess who it is when I say this. He said that chicks dig status. It's not from money or from social status. It's from self-confidence. Fair enough. Okay, I appreciate that he redefined status, but I think he should have just started with self-confidence. And then he said, "How do you get confidence?" Well, you start believing you're confident. Oh, that's not gonna fucking work. People have been shat on and trod on their entire fucking lives. The getting of confidence is one of the hardest things in the fucking world. You've got to fucking build it from understanding of what's around you, as the things that haven't fucking burnt down, the things that you are good at. Like, even if it's little things like I can walk, because let's put it this way. Stephen Hawking managed to cheat on his wives twice while he was in a wheelchair, both times unable to talk. So the guy can't move or talk, but managed to cheat on his wife, the current wife, and then convince another woman to fuck him. That's good going. You know what I'm saying? That's confidence with a capital F. But apparently Stephen Hawking, when he was a young grad doctor, no, it's not it, postgrad, a postdoc. Apparently he was a hound, a pussy hound, big time. Like his faculty and or teammates would go up to him in a bar and say, "Oh, we've got a bet on with the bizzos or the marketers or the mathematicians." "Oh, yeah, it's that chick over there." "Oh, come on, guys, you should. Come on, Steve, we know you." "Okay." And 15 minutes later, she'd be walking out with him. Apparently the guy had stunning abilities to get parts of himself wet. And clearly he knows how to convince someone to do the thing. So confidence is simply about building the skill within yourself, not to believe in yourself, because belief is quickly shattered. "Why didn't Jesus come and help me with my pee? It's so small." Yeah, baby G didn't help me there. Confidence is so easily shattered, but the understanding that you've done okay, that you're continuing to do okay, and that while you've crashed in adverse conditions, actually, if you have a look at most adverse conditions, you didn't crash and you got ahead. Also, that you have skills. Also, that you've talked to people not disastrously all the time, and that it's not as bad as it could be. Other people have it worse off than you, and this could be okay. And if you keep on living each day, just chipping away at the things that can be okay, and keep on making things a bit more okay and a bit more okay, it snowballs very quickly. In 6 months, you'll be, walking as a god in your mall. And women love that shit. Because that's a guy that can be consciously good for her. Everyone says, "Oh, no, he's got to be, the provider and protector, and he's got to be fucking grunt muscle." And that's not it. Yes, he has to get the knife out when it's necessary, but most of the time have it away and be gentle with the children. And sure, he's got to provide, but she's providing too. Men and women have always worked, right? There's this myth that the women stayed at home and the men went off and did the thing. No, Men and women always worked. And, you know, there were, by the way, there was a lot of men who would gather as well. They weren't, you know, they weren't, what is it, exclusively hunters. You know, a lot of the men gathered. Because realistically, you only take a small team to hunt. And the rest of the guys who aren't good at hunting or don't like hunting, especially the ones who like to make clothes, they go off and gather. Interestingly enough, the guys will gather things like tuber roots that are 3 meters underground, because that's a bit of a task. That's a half day's worth of digging there. And yeah, you sing while you dig, stick that shit out. But then, you know, in Australia, the women gather echidnas that are deep inside termite mounds. You know, you dig a little bit on the termite mound, then you grab his tail and you drag him out. The echidna by this time is not real happy and is giving it a bit of spike, fuck off, and they're big and fat. Then they get rolled in mud and caked. Oh, sorry, burnt. Oh no, cooked. And when the mud is starting to get a little bit hard, they go, right, he's done. And then they rip the mud off and it takes the skin right off. And then there's the meat. That's how you get the spikes off an echidna.
Actually, not completely unrelated to what you're saying, but I just want to bring it up because it's something we've talked about before. It's in the news. Eel traps of the, I'm trying to say the people's name right, Gunditjmara people have been World Heritage listed by UNESCO. They're roughly 6,500 years old. 6,500-year-old permanent aquaculture system. Eels.
No, the Abbo's never had any structures or anything. So, you know, it's terra nullius, buddy. No one was here.
Yeah. And although we keep bringing this up in live streams, I can't stop talking about it ever since I read the book Dark Emu, which everyone should read. It should be on school curriculums. Everyone should read. It's again Bruce Pascoe's book that basically lays bare everything we were ever told about Indigenous Australians is a fucking lie. They did have permanent structures. They did have agriculture. They had aquaculture. They had long-term dwellings. They had long-term villages. They stored food. They made flour from native grains. The weaving, some of the stories of the nets they wove, the river people who were into aquaculture, the nets they wove, even the incredibly racist early settlers were stunned by the quality of these nets. They would literally say, never seen anything better.
But they would buy them.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of feedback from your feed, but that's because I'm homosexual.
Yeah, I actually set it to do that. If anyone gay comes on the stream, make life difficult for them.
Feedback like fuck.
Yeah.
The early settlers would buy the nets from the locals because they're fucking awesome. Also, the nets inspired the northern peoples to make a thing called a dilly bag. And if you've ever seen these things, they're about, you know, yay high and about yay big, but they expand to over 1 meter, right? And the more you put in them, the bigger they get. And so you can go off a gathering and then put shit in your dilly bag, and at the end of the day you've got it around your head and you're just walking home with this like big lump on your back going, hey boys, hands off, I've got to make that into yamada paste. And yeah, awesome. But that was technology that traveled up and was repurposed, but also there was nets. And they were made, these nets were made out of a mixture of hair, river reed, and rolled spinifex. They have like a dandelion, yeah, puffable
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, but they're a silky strand, and they do blow away in the wind. But as they're being made, they're still stuck on with these thicker strands. So they'd harvest them, and then twist them into this fine twine with the hair and the rivery and the puffball, and they'd make this long polymer. My long polymer string, and you'd think it's all very fiddly. No, you got the river reed and into bits, and then you mixed up the hair and the spinifex silk, and then you twisted it all together. Just while you're talking around the campfire, and men and women would do it too. And you twist it all up, and then you put it into skeins, and then you weave it together in different designs for different stuff, and they had different sized nets for different sized fish.
Yes,
Who
as you
knew?
would.
Who knew?
Oh, I'm sorry for asking, is Dark Emu an audiobook? Yes, I actually listened to the audiobook. It was read by the author, Bruce Pascoe. And I will actually be honest and say he's not the greatest reader in the world.
Because he's
I
probably, one of them.
think he's a white fella, actually. I'm not 100% sure, but
What I said, one of
yeah.
them.
I think I might say Gardening Australia had an Aboriginal guy talking about how they had planted native grasses up the East Coast. Again, read or listen to Dark Emu. It's astonishing. Even the writings of the early colonizers who didn't even realize what they were saying, they were going, look at the artful arrangement of these trees and these grasses. This is like any park back home. Isn't nature wonderful?
Isn't
And the
nature
locals
great?
go, get your cattle off it. It's my
Yeah.
crops. What do you do? And
I
the
mean, yes. Oh well, I'm gonna spear one of yours because you killed half my harvest. It's just a fair trade.
within 1-2 generations at the most, the settlers had destroyed thousands of years of agriculture. A sustainable, drought resistant, bushfire resistant agriculture that could
Well, it's
have.
Australia, buddy. That kind of stuff's got to go. Coal's our future. None of this bloody gay wind or solar or hydrogen shit.
Yeah.
Do you know you can crack coal down into hydrogen?
Oh, of course you can. I'm sure it's a bloody
And,
intensive
and
process, though.
no, it's not. It's I thought, oh yeah, because I got told, oh no, it's an expensive, intensive process. No, solar powered electricity and spreading over a sunlit bed. We'll actually just crackle it all up, and as soon as it's ready, you put a plastic balloon, big huge plastic balloon on it, collects the hydrogen, bloop bloop bloop, and you just collect it, pressurize it, can it, and sell it. 3 pilot plants in the middle of Australia, and the Howard government went, well, that's fucked, it won't work. It is working. No, it's not going to work.
I was looking it up. AGL said they were going to do it at one of their existing coal stations at Loy Yang. They call it gasification. You got to partially oxidize.
That's the other way, and that's also clever too. Underground, you burn it. You burn it underground, and you get the fire gas, and it's already hot and pressurized because it's underground.
Yeah.
And because it's in that state, you virtually spin it. You basically put it through some filters and spin it, and the relative weights just because when this technology was built up to separate uranium 237 from uranium 235, it's an isotope of the same element, right? So they were extracting tiny little pieces out of a big piece, and it worked. It was tricky, but it worked. Still works today. You put it in cylindrical spinners. Anyway, these are different elements. You got the lightest element ever, and a fairly, 12. Yeah, 12 versus 1. So the spinning out is really easy if they're already excited and under pressure. If the bonds are weak, they're valent bonds. They're not nuclear bonds, they're valent bonds. And if they're already plastic and weak, spinning them out's pretty easy, and they've already gone through filters and been smashed up. So it's actually pretty easy, and you can either sell low chain molecules like butane, propane, which is still nicer on the environment, or you can crack the hydrogen out completely and get commercial qualities of carbon black, which you can then sell off for carbon fiber or graphite or industrial diamonds or any number of 100 fucking processes in industry. Not vegan stuff, actually vegan stuff, but not vegan stuff. Because that's my face that I make with vegans.
Yeah, this
like that.
bit was written by a researcher from Uni of Newcastle, who's obviously working with AGL to do this, but it is interesting. They're basically saying the whole process of turning the coal into hydrogen. The process does release carbon dioxide, so it's not creation of it's not zero emission, although they may be able to improve that over time. But the burning of the hydrogen, the only byproduct is basically water, which does make the burning of it as a fuel a zero emission thing. And they think they'll be able to improve the whole process. Because they're saying, look, at the moment, it'd have to be on a large scale, and it might not even be worth it economically or emission-wise. You might be better off just burning coal, but we think we're going to get better, and there's a lot of promise in this having a future. So who knows?
That's a sweet thing to say, but there's not promise. AGL's going ahead with this. This is fucking gonna. They say shit like that when they know they've got a corner on it. Yeah, and AGL does have a corner on it because this is going to be fucking huge. Because what no one's saying, and this is a tricky little thing, what no one's saying is after you've burnt out the coal and got all the hydrogen out.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too is you can burn the hydrogen on site, right? Make electricity, gather the water, and sell that back to your local river. Nice little earner. The other thing is that once the coal's all burnt out, you stick some of your water that you've generated down there, and you're looking at geothermal.
Yeah.
Which is why you put your power generator right next to your fire, because then you can just stick the pipes in and go, more money for free. And that's zero emission. And, you get your next industry after you've got your first industry, and you just keep on rolling. The ground's not getting any colder. It is, but it's going to take 2 billion years. Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, well, just a few questions. Safa's saying, isn't fracking banned in Victoria? This isn't fracking. Fracking is a process of fucking up stuff that's in the ground. This is coal goes to a power plant and you do this. Gecko's saying, isn't there sulfur in coal too? Yes. This handy explainer says the components are, where are we? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. So obviously you have to be careful with your byproducts because they're super fucking toxic.
Well, actually, if you do it just right, you can suck everything out individually. And this is why your screening and filtering is important. Because if you suck out everything individually, because one of the big come-ons to this is you can grab the carbon, the sulfur, the nitrogen, right, and you can grab them separately and sell them off. Sulfur's got massive industrial uses. Nitrogen is the basis of fertilizer and explosives. and oxygen. Well, who fucking needs that?
Yeah.
Um, if you've got actual atomic oxygen, like a diatomic oxygen, in your hand, you put it in white bottles for hospitals and black bottles for welding, and you're coining. This stuff is coin, 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 coin. It was a CSIRO developed technology, and it's just process after process after process that pays off. Because the CSIRO is forced into doing bioscience, and they're very good at it. And so they were basically showing the government that, look, we can do stuff that, because the government keeps on saying, oh, you can't do science unless it pays. And they're going, we can do science and it pays and pays and pays and pays and pays and pays. And the government still went, no, I don't want to give you any money because I'm a fucking liberal government. Thanks, asshole.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've got a thing about fucking make sure we don't have industry. What?
Yeah, it is. They are bad economic managers.
Mm. I'm just going to segue into this. You needed
Yeah.
to do something?
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking at one point of doing another podcasty thing tonight,
Well,
but I'm
we
not.
might even. Okay, so, all right. There's things that have happened in the United States, okay?
Yes.
Basically, I'll just put it in the most simplistic way. Trump has done his fuck up. The American economy is in trouble again, and they've done some easing, which has made the Australian dollar shoot up, like almost to parity with the US dollars. This has wildly fucked our prices of exports, which we desperately need to eat because we have no industry. Thanks, Abbott, you're a dickhead. Getting rid of our car industry was so retarded. Getting rid of our ability to refine our own fuel. Just what the fuck? There's one refinery left in Sydney.
Yeah.
It's basically an emergency thing. It's just fuck. We had 5 of these fucking things, and not now. We've lost 2 aluminium smelters, 3 copper smelters, and 2 lead smelters. They're very inefficient. Well, yeah, you know what? You get metal out of them, and metal's always more expensive than ore, and you can get more from it. At one
Yeah.
point, we were selling Japan ore at $20 a ton, and we were buying back cars at $19,000 a ton. That was the exchange.
Yes.
So anyway, my point being is that the CSIRO is being screamed at doing this. Our Prime Minister, in a wave of international sucking corporate dick, has is really got a hard on for making legislation that says if you protest against a business,
Yes.
right, unfairly, so they can't do their business, you can get jailed because you're obviously evil.
Yes.
But if you protest against a government, you're obviously evil. Well, we'll tell you what you should protest against.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's all kinds of problems, constitutionally with it. You have the right of assembly, and you have the right of voting in the government. Now, the High Court of Australia has already said that means you can assemble and protest the government. If you can vote them in, you can vote them out, and if they're misbehaving, you can tell them
Yeah.
they're misbehaving. It's also that is actually tied in with the press as well, says the High Court. And look, it's all very because okay, in Australia there's only 2 rights. Well, there's actually 3, right? There's 3 rights. The first right is freedom of assembly, which contains freedom of religion and says that you can assemble. This was illegally trodden on by the Bjelke-Petersen government when youth could not gather in groups of more than 2 or 3, because more would be a gang and they would be arrested and beaten up by police.
Yes.
But that's illegal, totally illegal, because you can assemble however you want. And it was weird because the Queensland religions used it, but Queensland kids couldn't. Who knew? Because the law doesn't apply equally. Oh, it's Queensland, never does. And because your other right, apart from freedom of assembly, is voting in the government, the federal government, and the other right you have, the third right you have, is the right to pay the Governor General £50 as a starting salary one time. That's 3 rights. Everything else is basically in Constitution is the definitions of Australia and how Aborigines aren't allowed to be citizens or vote. No, that's been struck out. Demanding that free trade happen across states. That's it. It's literally the document constitutes what Australia is. Makes trade fair, and you're allowed to do this and this. There's nothing about free speech. Ironically, though, because of the way the High Court has interpreted these things, they have decided that protest is tickety-boo, and that a free press must be maintained. Well, we don't have a free press anymore.
We have Rupert Murdoch press.
Well, not only that, but basically our federal government doesn't have to tell anyone anything. They've just decided they don't have to say anything. They can spend your money and not tell anyone. At the moment, all of our navy is in the Torres Strait doing stuff for reasons. It costs
and
us.
they also feel free to raid journalists who they think know the identity of a whistleblower who's told them government secrets.
Oh yeah.
That got worldwide media attention because media in countries that fancy themselves as free don't take kindly to the government of the day using the cops to jackboot in on journalists.
Well, not only that, but it's against the government's own fucking laws against hassling whistleblowers. Their own laws saying whistleblowers are a thing because, unions need to be brought to book. But when it's them, not a thing. It's not a thing.
And again, this mob always trumpet themselves as the party of freedom of speech, the party of small government, the party of individual. Right up until you do something that annoys or embarrasses them, and then the weight of the government will come down on you.
Right up until you're a small businessman who doesn't like their government and wants to do something on your own, then you're fucked. Don't be a small businessman who wants to go solar.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. And don't do a press conference. And don't be a whistleblower against the government or you're fucked. Don't be a whistleblower against a corporate or you're
even the cops have been monstering a corporate whistleblower these days. The ones who ratted out Matthias Cormann, federal finance minister, had got a family holiday worth over $10,000 from a company which was then in line for massive government contracts. when it was outed in the media, he's going, "Oh, I didn't realise so much paperwork. I can't keep track of anything. I'm going to pay for that now." And in the last week or so, it came out that the cops had been raiding ex-employees of this company, saying, "Was it you? Was it you?" And everyone's going, "No, that's next fucking level shit. That's not government secrets. That's someone who told the media what they saw happen in their workplace, and that's apparently fair game for the cops to come after you." And it's like, no.
No. And you got a situation where the trouble with Matthias Cormann is it's the tip of the iceberg. There's more there.
Oh yeah.
And also, it's not just Matthias. Remember that your right-wing government and a fair amount of your left as well have got a thing called the Family Trust, which is basically a way in Australia of burying your tax. But it's also a way of stashing wealth that doesn't necessarily have to be looked over by, I don't know, the tax office or government. And it's stunning what the Family Trust company needs for its own operation. It often needs vehicles, boats, it needs houses, it needs all kinds of shit. And it doesn't matter if Family Trust doesn't matter where it comes from. No, not a problem. It's just owned by the trust, and it dispenses stuff to the directors and the beneficiaries of the trust. Usually, beneficiaries of the trust are the children of the directors, and apparently they receive hundreds of thousands in salary every year. As I did, started to when I was 5, and got a tax bill when I was 5 of $7,000. I was in tears. I didn't know how to pay it. I got my money box, which was very cute. And my brother got his money box and said, "I can help," which is very cute. And they said, "No, you've got a $5,000 tax bill as well." And we were both in tears. And then our folks said, "We'll help you out." And then later we said, "How have we got a $7,000 tax bill?" "Oh, well, you earned $50,000. Can I have it?" "Fuck no." I actually got out of the trust years later because every time I got a job, I was paying 50 cents in the dollar tax, and it was killing me. So these trusts hide a lot of fucking badness, and the Liberal government, no, it's not even a secret, have been abusing the shit out of parliamentary perks for a million years, and have been effectively on the take for the longest time. They've gotten away with it because a lot of the left was doing it too.
Oh yeah. That's why I was surprised. You're on the federal level. Labor have been gung ho. Yep, independent commission against corruption on the federal level. We're 100% behind it. I'm going, really? Are you sure you're clean? Because anyone who's got a brain has seen multiple times one political party who's in power setting up an independent commission because they think it'll get their opposition, and then the commission turns out to actually be independent and interrogates the government as well and uncovers all manner.
We didn't mean you to be that independent.
But Labor reckons they're all for it. So
well, I happen to have heard that on the way out, during the divorce, Gillard and Rudd set up a thing in the Labor Party going, "You have 3 years to divest yourself of all your nasty shit in your trusts." You have 3 years, because after that, the Royal Commission's coming through, and if you've still got it, you're going to jail. And apparently they fucking heeded the call because because they said they don't really mean that. And then the whips came down and said, get rid of your shit now. And yeah, so apparently they have cleaned themselves up and they're sharpening the knives. Because the moment they get back in, the independent commission's coming out. Also, the
Yeah.
independent commission against corruption, the federal one's coming out. Ooh, that's going to sting.
Yeah.
Because that'll hurt state Labor as well. And federal Labor have always wanted to clean up state Labor. New South Wales.
Oh my
For a
God, the
long
shit that's been
time.
coming out of New South Wales recently.
Well, I mean, they're the rum core rebellion
Yeah.
state. I mean, they've been basically run as a mob, like, I mean,
Yeah.
a mafia mob since fucking 1820. It's not it's the toe cutter capital. Anyhow, so yeah, apparently it's going to be very ugly.
Sounds like it. But yes, New
So
South Wales Labor are currently being outed for taking literal shopping bags full of cash from Chinese businessmen. And yikes.
oh yeah, it's the wild fucking it's Chicago,
Mm.
north side, south side, in the loop, in good old Sydney town. For
Yeah.
fuck's sake, they formed a company. It was called Australian Water. It was going to bill residents of New South Wales under the Water Act. They didn't own any water. They didn't. They didn't own any reservoirs. They owned no pipes, and they had no facility to put water from A to B. But they were going to charge people for water that they didn't give them, they
Mm.
didn't own, and that they didn't get. Effectively, public service caught this legislation going through and going, there's nothing here. And they were making this company and starting to invest it with millions of dollars of Australian taxpayer money, like millions of dollars. And if this had gone through, they would have got billions of dollars of taxpayer money and money from bills from New South Welshmen who got nothing. And this shit is considered normal in New South Wales, and it was just that they caught this one. This is not the only shit going down in New South Wales.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these things. One of the things about selling off the power grid in Australia is that the private companies who bought it have to maintain the wires and poles. Every year in Australia since, there's been bushfires sparked from shitty maintained electrical wires and poles, which basically what the power companies do is then effectively backhand the government and say, if you don't find us responsible for the bushfire that killed 2 people, we will fucking give you a lot of money for your party. And then, the police accidentally don't find that they started it, and usually a few kids with matches go to jail. I mean, they did fucking put matches in the bush, so fuck them. Funny in Australia, for all of our people who aren't local, if you get caught lighting a bushfire, you're immediately arrested and put in jail because you're put in protective custody until your hearing and then subsequent trial comes up. And you don't get bail, you're in custody the entire time, because if they let you out, the locals fucking kill you.
Yeah. It's not good.
People have
It's
been
not a good thing to
shot
do.
because they've started a bushfire. They've just been shot. New South Wales Labor, the most corrupt party in New South Wales. No, the New South Wales Liberal Party is the most corrupt party in New South Wales, but the New South Wales Labor is corrupt as fuck.
Yeah, it's very close to even, I think, historically.
But think about your ideology and think about what your Liberals think they're already entitled to.
Yeah.
Then add criminality.
Yeah. Swings and roundabouts. It's like
Swings and
my
roundabouts.
favorite. It's like it goes back to like the razor gangs in the early 20th century in Sydney. But and this is what I found out when I was reading the book about Chow Hayes from the razor gang era. and he, in the 60s and 70s, would regularly go to the big illegal casinos in King's Cross. And he's just saying, like, you treat the whole thing as a joke. When the sitting Premier, Robert Askin, Liberal Party Premier, is photographed at an opening night party at an illegal casino in King's Cross. And at another one, he's introduced to some really tall bloke. And it's basically, oh, you should know that bloke, he's going to be big. And it was Gough Whitlam before he was in federal politics. But even then, they knew he was going to be big. And
I've seen a YouTube photo in one of these illegal casinos in Sydney, and it's got the gleaming lights of both the right and the left parties of New South Wales, all basically shoulder to shoulder around next to a roulette wheel, all holding drinks and smiling because it's the opening night of another illegal casino in King's Cross. And it's party time. We don't fight all the time, and we're doing something wildly illegal, and who cares? Because we're the government and fuck them. And of course, near them is the senior police.
Yeah,
So
and it's like
whatever.
Robert Askin brought corruption right into New South Wales politics, but good old Nifty Nev, he fucking entrenched it. He turned it into a bloody machine.
But bloody, look, since the Rumcore Rebellion, that was the watershed in which New South Wales was consistently run on money and crime. And that was it. From then
and that's the establishment. We're not talking about the fringe criminals. That describes the establishment.
That's the core establishment. That's the core power of New South Wales is basically, how long can you sit on the fountain of cash until it's someone else's turn? You get in, you make your dough, you get out. Land deals are the classic way in New South Wales to make dirty cash if you're a politician, because you get to parcel up the land and give it out. And so if your developer mate comes and says, "Oh, I think I want that bit of bush. I think we can do something there." It might need to be cleared for mining surveying. Yes, it might need to be cleared for that. But there's an endangered shrew. Didn't see any. Clear it. And anyway, there's no mine stuff there. Well, we don't want to waste it. Maybe we should sell it off as land. Shit like that happens all the fucking time. It's New South Wales.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, dodgy as fuck. They would do it in Victoria, except that historically, especially because of the gold rush, our economy was on a different footing. It was on a far more speculative and mining footing rather than a diversified top-down footing. It was on a much more bottom-up, climbing up. In Victoria, they were always encouraged to get in on the ground floor of something that would start to climb you, incorporate, and then get bigger and bigger and bigger, and to divest yourself into shares so that everyone can have a piece, which is the way Victoria made all its money. And so that is encouraged. And so you do get your odd criminal, but what's really criminal is the way these people just make money hand over fist, not illegally, but it's daylight robbery. And then some of them aren't satisfied with minting free money, so they get criminal on top, which is what happened with your financial meltdown.
Yes.
That got triggered in Iceland, but was really out of the States, the United States, where these idiot banks weren't making enough, so they started stealing. These banks were turning over billions of dollars a quarter, in profit, but it wasn't enough. So they indulged in high-end stealing, and then it all came crashing down. Who fucking knew? Because you can't take money out of what's not there. It eventually collapses. Everyone said, "Oh, it wasn't me. Big boy did it and ran away. I want to do business as usual." Too big to fail.
If you're like me, the movie The Big Short will make you super fucking angry. It's a dramatization of certain events around the global financial crisis, namely how a few different groups, small groups of people in America, worked out the housing market was going to collapse utterly and would take the economy down with it. And all the accepted financial wisdom said it isn't possible for real estate market to collapse because real estate, quote unquote, always goes up in value. So no matter what they did, it couldn't collapse. And a few people worked out by just ignoring that concept that it couldn't go, and they looked at the actual numbers and they went, this is horrific. It's going to crash so bad. And there wasn't even a financial vehicle to place a short on the housing market. A couple of them worked out with the big investment banks. We actually want a way to short the housing market. Basically, we're placing a bet. And because the financial companies believe their own bullshit, they believe there's no way they could win this. So they invented this thing for these people to be able to short the housing market. And lo and behold, it came true. But the bit that really twisted and made me angry and made some of the characters in the movie very angry is even when it got to the inevitable point that the housing market had collapsed, all the investment banks were reporting fake numbers. And all these guys who know their bets come in are going, no, 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 wait. Why aren't you paying off our bet? And and they can't believe it. They go, oh my God, they're just fucking lying now. It's one thing to be super wrong, but they're just lying.
But I mean, and these are people who've basically gone, oh, we're going to make billions out of the misery and suicides and death of a large sector of our own people. And then they were going, oh, where's my fucking stuff? Because those guys are lying and being wrong. What?
Well, there's a couple different groups in there. One group who are analysts, and one guy who is played by Steve Carell. He completely lost faith in the financial market and couldn't work for a mainstream financial company. And he literally said, "Oh, you guys are going to fuck this. So I'm going to bet against you." Another group was a couple of young guys who worked out the sums as well. Well, they got a hint that this was happening, and they had this guy who was almost a fucking Unabomber character, but who really knew economics, and they worked with him. And he said, "Yeah, this is real." And when they made a lot of money, and they're like, "Yeah, party on," he just told them to shut the fuck up. He goes, "You making this money means millions of people are fucking ruined." And you go, "Sorry." He goes, "If it's that awful, why did you help us?" He goes, "I don't know. You said you wanted to be rich. What the fuck? It was going to happen anyway." And a couple of the groups are actual, real shifty types who just worked out what the other people were doing and cashed in on it. But it's
fucking low. Fucking. I once was on a message board that had it was just this surreal thing. There was a group of Australians going, ha ha ha, we've cornered gold production.
Yikes.
And there was some basically pushback from these guys in the States, well, in New York actually. And it was, whatever, we control the market.
Yes.
And one of the guys in Australia basically said, well, no, the metals market is in London. New York guys says, we own the market. And then they came back again and said the metals market is in London. It's nothing
Yes.
to do with you. It's basically how the UK makes its cash. That and the Euros thing about oil. Don't worry about that. And this New York kid basically went on this lengthy discourse about how it didn't matter because any volume trade in metals in the world had to be ratified by the states in 1999 because industry had to go through a process of tooling up and fueling up their blah 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 blah, and it was hilarious because the Australian kid who was on the other end of this discussion put up this effectively a graph. It was a spreadsheet, but it's a graph showing that 38% of the gold went to traditional markets and then cut down the rest going direct to overseas industrial companies, like direct, not through the market, but direct sale, which is what Australia's always done, gone straight to the customer and said, pay me direct and I'll give it to you on a ship. And it's how our PBS works as well. And basically, this poor kid from New York said, well, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. And this is the mentality of these people in the New York stock world. They can't understand that we own the market doesn't mean you own stuff. You own theoretical financial business instruments, or the words for them. That's what you own, is the words for financial business instruments. You don't have any actual stuff. And when the actual stuff isn't there, eventually the house of cards falls over. Because that's at its rotting core, it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and you can't sit on it anymore, and it stops farting money at you. They all do. Eventually, when there's no gold at the center of the currency, it shits itself and dies. And time and time and time again, economic systems that have been built on speculation and nothing have fallen over.
Right back to the tulip mania.
The tulip bubble was the first big one.
It was the first big one that absolutely crashed economies. Too complicated game, but basically, I think it was the 1600s. The Dutch tulip market was worth so much money that people started a futures exchange on it, and they put
tulip bulbs.
Yeah, they basically put more money into it than there was tulips, and then it couldn't be delivered on, so the whole house of cards fucking collapsed and crashed economies.
Bulbs themselves, there were rare bulbs going for the price of castles. Like 2 bulbs were sold for the equivalent of, it was said at the time, 6 cathedrals worth of value. And eventually what happened is the confidence in bulbs just evaporated. And as per usual, the middle class was starting to get into buying bulbs. The upper class had got out. The middle class was starting to put their money into the bulb market. The confidence in bulbs evaporated, and anyone caught with bulbs lost everything. And that was the first great crash. But in the States, they've crashed every 50 years.
And they just keep happening.
Every 20 years, it's getting more and more frequent. And the next crash is coming right up, especially in Trump times, because they've just fucking taken the reins right off. And the corporates have gone, we're just going to go hard now. And they've gone, oh, with our blessing, do what you need to do for making America great again. And someone please build a fence. I'm waiting for my fence. I want to see my fence. Because if
You know what
they
you were
can
saying?
do it, we can do it and keep New Zealanders and Tasmanians out.
Yeah. Or we just use water to do that. I don't know.
Fence.
No. But what are you saying about
Yep.
the speculation eventually fading away because they're speculating on nothing? Weirdly, there have been multiple instances where essentially the opposite has happened. Like a primary producer who actually has stuff has become the victim of these financial trading tools and being told, okay, you've lost everything because of the way this stuff traded, but I've still got all my sheep. No, but you don't own anything now. And there's been protests, and this has happened. I know it's happened in Australia. It's happened in England. I think it's happened in France, probably a few other places in Europe, where the farmers have just driven all their sheep or cattle into the center of the capital city, to the bank or to the stock exchange. Like, there you go, it's fucking yours now, apparently. The financial geniuses have said, like, oh, you've lost everything, it's worth nothing. And go, no, I've still actually got all my sheep. And they go, no, because of this piece of paper, blah, 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 you don't own those anymore. And the farmer, in frustration, has gone, well, I guess it's the banks now. And they've driven all this sheep or cattle up to the stock exchange or the banks and just left them there and going, yours now, buddy.
And that all finally ended with the Tully Creek outrage. Okay. So in Tully Creek, it's the northern New South Wales,
Yeah.
southern Queensland. This big property goes over both. Okay, so the Tully Creek farm, it's a station, it's huge. Basically had a bunch of cattle. Tasmania here, so poo to you with knobs on. Well, if I hadn't, have got to have something to bomb, David. I've been to Tasmania, it's gorgeous, and it's got the best art gallery in Australia. And Hobart's actually quite beautiful. Launceston's really weird, though. They call it Inceston for a reason. Anywho, the Tully Creek outrage was, what happened was this thing, right? The banks and lawyers came down on this farmer who was one of these big station owner, cow cocky, grass castle, fucking, millionaires. And they said, oh, your cows are worth nothing, and you've lost a lot. And he was going, I've still got a lot of cows, and I have a contract with you, but you haven't picked them up. And in the contract, it says that the escrow deal sunsets if you don't pick them up. A lot of farmers didn't look at that escrow bit. So they're not yours. I'm going to sell them. Oh, you're not to sell them because, we've got options on them. You actually lost your option. And he drove them to a market and sold them. And then they went fucking nuts. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. It's outrageous. Tully Creek outrage. And he basically pointed at the clause and said, you had your opportunity to come and get your cows to make all these deals real. Now, you didn't pay me because you were being smart, and you forgot to come and get your cows, which all of this shit is based on. And I fucking got bored of waiting, and I sold my cows privately. So, fuck you. Anyway, time and time again, it doesn't matter because, the market went along and it speculated on nothing. I mean, they do it all the time. But push came to shove, and all of this litigation came down the line. And, of course, at the bottom of it was nothing. And they went to the government and said, oh, the farmer was bad. And the government went, no, it wasn't. You're an idiot. You bought nothing and you sold nothing, and it's on you. And it all fell over. So these days, that doesn't happen. These days, if you want, in Australia, I don't know about anywhere else, in Australia, if you want to speculate on, on primary resources, you've actually got to have primary resources in your hand, or otherwise it doesn't work anymore. So it's somewhere at some point in the chain, You've actually got to have something in your hand, which is why
Yeah.
these mining companies and banks, still the banks have got to have a third of cash reserve. I know the Liberal government tried to erase that, but the High Court raised objections, and the fair trading said, "Oh, it's all pretty much written into the DNA
Yes.
by several governments that no, they're not allowed to get rid of their third of their holdings in cash reserve." For those who don't know,
Yeah.
Australia's banks used to be all banks, but Australia's banks, because they're mistrusted by the Australian people, thank fuck,
Yes. Rightly so.
basically are not allowed to have less than a third of their holdings in an actual cash reserve. They've actually got to have money to back everything they're trading, at least a third of what they've got in actual cash and holdings, blue chip holdings, not speculative holdings. And when the financial market hit, the crash hit, all these Australian banks were saved by two things. The government spent wildly on the surplus that was built up selflessly by the right wing. Bullshit. They
Yeah.
just stopped spending on maintenance, which was,
Yeah.
everything was falling apart, and they sold infrastructure. Dickheads. And they stopped services. I mean, it's easy to save money when you don't spend on paint, sell the outhouse,
Yes.
and let the rented room fall apart.
Yeah.
Anywho, so the Australian government spent big on local projects to inject money straight into the economy, and it worked. And also, the banks themselves were insulated from the hit because they actually had money. They actually had real money in their hand. And for a while there, the only loans you could get in the world was from Australian banks, and they were making money hand over fucking fist. I mean, they were getting $300 billion a quarter. Doesn't suck. But in these days, they were getting $1,200 billion a quarter, $1,300 billion a quarter, just unheard of fucking amounts of money, because the world owed them debt because they couldn't get any money anywhere else.
Yes.
And they were going, fuck yeah. And Australian banks were buying banks overseas. Some of them were a bit shit, and they since got rid of them, but a lot of them they've still got. And it was just stupid. I mean, if the US and UK had done that, kept a third of their money in their holdings, nothing would have happened. It would have been fine. Would have just been an embarrassing day on Wall Street, as a lot of traders got sent down in shame. Not one arrest has happened since 2008. Not one arrest. I mean, yeah, there was the Ponzi scheme guy, but no, none of those guys that stole billions of dollars has gone
Yeah.
to jail. Not
Yeah.
one.
Now, the only one who went to jail was stealing off other rich people.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's how you go to jail. Oh my God. Sorry, the random things that pop through my head, of course, everyone's making a meme out of this Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself things. But of course, one of the latest, someone who's another one of those cronies, a Trump crony who's in prison now, who is about to go on trial, where who knows what he'll say in a court setting, because he could blow shit. This is Roger Stone. He's been dodgy as fuck for decades. Like, he's literally been involved in financing war crimes, and he's like neck deep with Trump. And he's and he was at least temporarily running Trump's election campaign. And he's one of the ones who's got a criminal conviction out of the Mueller investigation, and he's in prison, and he's about to go on trial. And people are already sharing memes, pictures of him. If this guy, quote unquote, kills himself in prison, he didn't kill himself.
No, I would be starting to be very concerned if I was Trump. It's funny because these criminals, when they get put on the dock, will lie their ass out about what they've done and what other people have done, basically because it's a dumb thing to do to say shit and go to jail.
Yeah.
Businessmen, when put on the dock, will fucking spill their guts about
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
basically to advantage themselves, because if they throw other people under a bus, maybe they'll get a better deal. They won't, but a lot of people get thrown under the bus. I mean, because that's all they know, throw everyone else under the bus.
Yeah.
You know, and you see these guys going, I'm not going to lose my career over this. I'm going to tell this truth in the stand. It's like you're an idiot because you are going to lose your career over this. You know, it's just how long you're going to jail for.
Yeah.
And they throw everyone under the bus, and it happens all the fucking time. And you get the most full-on admissions by these folks about what will happen. Now, this guy, when he speaks, we know he's going to bucket Trump real bad.
Yep.
Because Trump's been in litigation for 1 billion years for scamming fucking everyone.
Oh, yes. So many court cases.
Right? You know, I'm going to build a fucking wall. Everybody who fucking has constructed anything DIY in their backyard said, that's not going to happen. And then he turned around and said, Mexico's going to pay for it. And then everyone said, that's not going to pay for it. A, they don't have the money. B, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, why would they? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and the president of Mexico said, I'm confused. No one's ever actually asked us formally, and we're not going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then Trump said, oh, you're going to do it. And Mexico said, no, we're not. And then the president introduced legislation into the Mexican Congress, I think it is. And both sides, there was actually, I think it's a six-sided house, which is why it's a little fucking crazy over there. Six-sided house, you pretty much unanimously said, I think there's a few dissenters, but he pretty much unanimously said, doesn't matter who's in power, no one's paying for a fence.
Yeah.
No one's paying for a fence. Doesn't matter who gets in, we are not paying for an American fence.
Yeah.
They want a fence, they can fucking pay for it. Besides, there's the NAFTA agreements, and they've got responsibilities as to trade. So, no. Anyway, everyone else basically said the United States would have to raise taxes to build this fucking fence.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? You know, because they don't tax the rich because it's not on.
Yeah.
The poor have had their ass taxed out of them. The middle class is groaning under the strain. They're not going to get any tax anymore because fucking they might rebel and actually vote their incumbents out. Shock horror.
And it's not even just that. There's the thing to build a wall across the entire border. It's not just the money thing. It's how much of that land is privately owned. So there is the government power of what they call it when they seize the land?
Compulsory purchase.
Yeah, there's another Latin term. But yeah, it's that basic thing. The government says, well, we are going to buy your land whether you like it or not, and we're going to name a price whether you like it or not. Is the irony back to the George Bush era? One of his policies was we're going to do it eminent domain. That's what they call it.
Eminent domain, yeah.
And there is stuff that's been in ongoing court battles since George Bush was president, because he tried to seize some land along the border under eminent domain, and they went, no, fuck you. And since George Bush, it's been held up in the courts. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Funny
so
thing,
I've been meaning to say hello to L3D Tube, who's where is he from? The Netherlands? He said hello when he came in. I need to go back. Wow, how the fuck far back is it? Not confirmed. Holland, yes, okay. just wanted to say, I kept meaning to say hello to L3Tube.
Hello, 3D Cube.
Zane, what are we talking about? All sorts of things. We're talking about, as usual, anything. And we're down to our last 5 minutes. Is there anything we want to talk about in our last 5 minutes? We've covered so much.
We've gone on a merry dance. I'm quite happy to still talk about that wall that Trump can't build, that he promised desperately that he could. I was also going to say the irony is in Australia, eminent domain works instantly. And the trick is in Australia, when the government, they say, when the government gives you an offer for the land they're going to take
Yeah.
the first price.
Yeah.
Because if you arc up, the money goes right down, and eventually they go, "We're taking your land, and here's your $2. Fuck off." Happened. It's happened many times. Pack your shit, piss off. You've got 24 hours to go. I'll burn down the house. Great. Get the fuck off my land. Or you'll get shot as a trespasser. My family's owned this land for 200 years, meaning you're squatters. You never bought it. Go away.
Yeah.
So eminent domain works instantly in Australia. In America, it's very different because the private citizen has rights, which is why I think in Australia we should have a bill of obligations, not a bill of rights. I'll get onto that next on Thursday. And so the other thing was where America was going to get its workforce to build the fence, because they'd have to do it. The only economic way is to do a minimum wage, and who was going to do that? The Mexicans. They'd have to get all the undocumented Mexicans to do it on the cheap. They'd have to formalise a national building program on the order of a wartime program that actually officially used undocumented workers to build this fucking wall. You know, they'd have to admit to the thing they were trying to stop, because economically it couldn't be done any other way.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'd bite into the military budget. Effectively what we're saying is Trump's a bullshitter, and every time his people get fucking caught for basically just showing their dicks in public.
Yes.
It's just stunning. Is they do these crimes and go, I'm a rich businessman, I'll get away with it. And eventually people go, you stole shit. You're going to jail now. Oh, no, it's okay. No, you defrauded, stole, and cheated. And you can't steal off rich people because they get the shit. And sometimes when you steal off poor people and they are owned by rich people, you're gone. And so all of Trump's people are going to jail for committing more and more outrageous crimes. And it's all swirling around Trump. And eventually, Trump, who is a multi-billionaire, but won't show anyone his bank account, he's going to have to show people his bank account. And the cupboard's going to be bare because it always has been. He's going to come crashing down.
He's lost another court case where they're trying to force him to actually show his Trump returns. But there we go. Look, it is time to go. I just want to say, Gecko pointed out I didn't make a halftime cocktail. Well, it is like a school night, as the saying goes. I do have to go to work tomorrow. It's not Friday yet. Sometimes I do on Tuesday nights, but I didn't try. But he did say can I make a kidney stone cocktail? When that gave me a bit of a giggle. And I look, because everyone prescribes apple cider vinegar for kidney stones, and I've got not apple cider vinegar, but I probably do have some apple cider vinegar here somewhere actually. But I've got some not my favourite apple cider. On the weekend, drove out past Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula, a mob called the Flying Brick Cider Company. They make my favourite cider, and we got a takeaway in a growler, one of their limited editions they called apple pie. It's sort of got some of the spices that you'd put in an apple pie, so it's like apple cider with very mild sort of spicy, like cinnamony flavours. Very nice. I was thinking, in honor of all the supposedly cure you um, uh, with apple cider vinegar for kidney stones, I could do one. And I quickly looked up at one I might potentially make on Thursday. Has got because the common things in these kidney stone tonics that people reckon will help you is apple cider vinegar, orange juice, and lemon juice. And I actually found one that's got apple cider, orange juice, lemon juice, and also brandy and rum. So,
Nice. I was also going to add
yeah.
that cranberry juice is another one they recommend for kidney stones and
Yeah.
for I can't remember the disease now. I'll remember it next week. So I was thinking, why don't you make a brain hemorrhage and use cranberry juice instead of grenadine?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that'll look like a kidney stone
Yeah.
with the cranberry
Yeah.
juice to cure it.
I think you've actually hit on something. After making whatever cocktail, I do have to dribble something red in there. That's to symbolise the piss in your blood when you've got to call it the kidney.
Um,
Yeah, no, I think you're on a winner there. That's definitely right. Adele, if you missed it, it's called the Flying Brick Cider Company. Their mascot is the black cockatoo, and apparently the local nickname for the black cockatoo was the Flying Brick because they are huge fucking birds and they look like it should be difficult for them to fly.
and they do. They've got these
Yeah,
stubby fucking wings and this bad
yeah,
attitude and a
yeah,
red crop on their
yeah,
black fur. In
yeah,
Australia, if you're black and got a red flash, it means you're poisonous.
yeah.
These cockatoos aren't poisonous; they're just very nasty.
They've just got an attitude. Mischievous.
No, thug. Um,
I did actually see some on the weekend too. Lots of it's weird. It's only an hour and a half from Melbourne, but the bird life's completely different.
yeah,
A lot more waterfowl. There were ibises everywhere, particularly like parrots and the black cockatoos and rosellas and whatnot all over the place.
you've seen something.
No, I was just looking at the thing. But it's time to go, boys and girls. So
So is.
we hope you all look after yourselves.
Thank you very much for letting me on your device. Would you be good, please, and ascribe to the angry? Good night, suffer from your device. You're so nice. Would you subscribe, please, to angry and do the bell thing and give him a thumbs up and give him a recommend in the the thing that YouTube has? That'd be awesome. And tell 60
Yeah,
mates to do that.
yeah. Go
So,
tell all your friends to subscribe. Yes.
and we're going to be doing something soon. And there's going to be a lot of incels talking to you.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
evil.
We'll
They're
do a
just
lead into that. Yeah.
badly informed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're nice. Thank you very much for letting me be with you, Steve, or this morning, or today.
Yes. Wherever you are in the
Wherever.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice. Thank you. You're cool. I
Yeah.
like you.
So see you all later. Bye for now.
See ya. Bye.
Click the second off button and